Hey viewers, welcome back. I'm here working on this 2003 GMC Sierra with the 5.3 liter engine. The vehicle came with the check engine light. I've already kind of messed around with the vehicle before recording. The code that it has, current code is a P0446 evaporator emission vent system performance. The other one, the P0452, was actually made by me by disconnecting the connector of the fuel tank pressure sensor. I've already kind of concluded that the problem is a fuel tank pressure sensor due to experience, which I'm going to show you guys real quick. Most of the time, from 65 to 70% of the time, whenever you see the voltage and the inches of water pretty much stay fixed without doing any fluctuation, as most likely is your fuel tank pressure sensor that's causing the P0446. I'm going to go to the Evap data. I'm going to select the 4 pits that I normally always use for the GM vehicles. So we have the fuel tank pressure sensor, inches of water showing about 6.12. It never changes, even with the purge running. It never goes up or down. It stays at 6.12. Then the fuel tank pressure sensor, it always stays stuck at 0.20. And the evap purge solenoid command shows 0%, which is the key on engine off. And then the evap vent solenoid command shows venting, which is the atmospheric pressure. During atmospheric pressure, our voltage here should be anywhere from 1.4 to 1.6. And our fuel tank pressure sensor should be close to 0 inches of water. In this case, it's not. Now, now let me go ahead and crank the engine over just to show you guys real quick that there's no fluctuation, no movement on these 2 pits. I've already checked the purge valve for its functionality. It's working properly. It's not internally leaking. Also checked the fuel cap. It's in good condition. There's no cracks on the rubber gasket. And I also checked the vent valve. It's also working properly, which makes me conclude that our problem is a fuel tank pressure sensor that's causing this P0446. Now, let me go ahead and show you guys some bi-directional control. I'm going to select the evap purge seal. Sorry about the glare, guys. I'm going to go ahead and select the same pits as before. So far, as you can see, the evap vent solenoid command shows venting. Fuel tank pressure sensor 0.2 and fuel tank pressure sensor inches of water 6.12. I'm going to go ahead and increase the purge, which is going to make this go to not venting on the vent solenoid about to 40%. The engine is kind of running rough. I'm going to seal the system. As you can see, there was no movement on the inches of water nor the voltage. Still stuck at 0.2 and stuck at 6.12. Okay, so pretty much for those that don't have a scan tool, you could use a voltmeter and pretty much remove the fuel tank pressure sensor from the fuel tank. But with the connector still on the sensor, you're gonna back probe the middle wire, which is I believe is a dark green, and then our 5.0 reference is going to be a gray color, and then our ground is going to be, which is our low reference, going to be a black color, a black wire. So remember, the middle wire is going to be your signal voltage. You're going to back probe it, use a voltmeter, and once you back probe it, your voltage should jump back to about 1.5, between 1.4 1.6, and if that happens, you know it's a faulty fuel tank pressure sensor. Another one would be jumping the signal wire to the 5-volt reference with the voltmeter still connected to the middle wire. Your voltage should jump approximately 5 volts when you jump those two wires, which would be pin B and pin C. And that just pretty much gives you a continuity test that there's no shorts or opens from the connector all the way to the PCM. And pretty much your problem is your fuel tank pressure sensor. I'm gonna go ahead and just do the test where I remove the fuel tank pressure sensor, the faulty one, with the voltmeter, with the connector already still on the faulty sensor. I'm going to show you guys by putting a brand new fuel tank pressure sensor. It's actually a GM part number. Not sure if that's the right one, but it's 16238399, and this was bought from O'Reilly. Alright, so let me set up and show you guys real quick. I'll be disconnecting the fuel tank pressure sensor from the fuel tank. I'll be adding the new one, and we're going to watch that our voltage is going to jump to 1.5. And this inches of water should be close to atmospheric pressure, close to 0. Alright, so let me set up and I'll show you. Alright guys, so I have already removed the old pressure or tank pressure sensor. I put the new one on the harness connector, as you can see here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the scan tool and show you guys our PIDs. With the key on, engine off, our fuel tank pressure sensor voltage reading about 1.45 volts, which is within that range of 1.4 1.6. Our fuel tank pressure sensor inches of water shows about negative 0.05, which is close to that 0 range. Alright guys, so now we know that our problem was the fuel tank pressure sensor that was causing this P0446, but just to confirm, I'm going to go ahead and do the perch seal once again. So let me go ahead and install the fuel tank pressure sensor back to its original location, and I'll show you guys real quick. Alright guys, so I got the scan tool already hooked, already set up for the Evap perch seal. As you can see, our fuel tank pressure sensor is showing about negative 0.05. Our Evap perch solenoid command still is at 0. Our fuel tank pressure sensor is showing about 1.45. Evap advanced solenoid is showing venting. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the perch to about 40% and then seal the system. Here we go. 10, 20, 30, 40. Alright guys, so now it went to not venting as I sealed the system. Our fuel tank pressure sensor is showing about negative 12.0. Our fuel tank pressure sensor is showing about 3.8. So little by little, it's going to start decaying back to its normal range to about 1.5 volts. And our fuel tank pressure sensor should go close to 0 inches of water once again. Remember, it's going to decay little by little. It feels decaying pretty much fast. You know, that would have pretty much told us that this vehicle still has a problem, or potential leak somewhere in the system. But as you can see, it is decaying slowly. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the fuel cap, and that should bring our numbers back to to normal spec. So here we go. As you can see, it went down to 1.45 volts. Fuel tank pressure sensor, inches of water, negative 0.15. I'm going to perform the test one more time. I'm going to increase the purge to about 30%. The engine is a little bit rough. I'm going to seal the system. Shows now venting again, and as you can see, it's about 2.63 volts. Inches of water, negative 5.84. It's going to start decaying slowly. So just right there, guys, that pretty much confirms to me that this vehicle no longer has any problems. There's no leaks, and our problem was the fuel tank pressure sensor that's causing that P0446. I'm gonna go ahead and just clear the codes and give it back to the customer and see if any codes come back that deal with the evap. All right, guys. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You guys learned something. This is Eli the OB Tech. Subscribe if you like.